Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Good day.
What's up, girl?
Hmm. Not a whole lot. How's everything going with you?
It's been interesting. Not like in a bad way or anything. Just a lot. It's kind of been my story for a little bit. It's just a lot. Although I will say, yesterday, I worked like 12 hours, and when I got home, it was it wasn't like I was thinking about it, but it was something that came to me was in my previous employments, if I would have worked that long, it would have, and I had at some of my places jobs, um, I would have felt beat up. Like you're just been through the ringer all day and you have no more to give. Like when I got home last night, I didn't even feel that way. Even after a 12-hour day, I didn't even feel that way. It was just a lot of hours, really.
Yeah.
But there was no feeling of being put down or beat up or worn out or nothing like that. So I thought that was interesting that I just had that, pop into my head when I walked into the door last night. So
And I feel like, and maybe I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I feel like it's because you're maintaining your own vibrational frequency. Because there's a difference, because I have felt that way some days from work and not working 12 hours. And I felt not felt that days, some days, other days.
yeah,
And it depends on, am I maintaining my own energy for me, or am I in their space? And I would probably tell you recently, I would notice I was in someone else's space. And even though I'm doing my own practice, a different practice now, and it's awesome that you brought up that it popped into your head. And that's because that's how a lot of times things pop into our head. It's like spirit, like saying, "Hey, take a look at this.
yeah,
Take a look at this, and notice the difference." Like it's kind of like celebrating our milestones in a lot of ways. Something I've noticed, and it's to pay attention to, because that's something to pay attention to as well. It's to pay attention to, what do your eyes rest on, right? We talk about like driving down the road and we see license plates, or our eyes will all of a sudden like rest on the time, and we notice the time is 11:11 or 4:44 or whatever, because it happens all the time. And I noticed yesterday, my eye, and I'm in my office all the time. I've created the space, I put the signs up. There's one that says spread your wings and fly. And for some reason I'm working with someone and I look up in my mind, my eyes rested on it, and I processed that for a minute. And I was like, okay, it's time to spread your wings and fly. And then I'm listening to on YouTube, I was listening to a reading, and she says, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly. This morning, I'm hearing a song and it says, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly, basically. And I'm like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but what does that really mean? And
yeah,
I don't know, because I'm asking, I'm asking within self. So I know the information will be brought to me, what it means to me. But it's just fascinating that you started the conversation with that, because it just popped into your mind. You could have ignored it. I could have ignored me looking at the sign or whatever. I could have ignored all those things. We do it all the time. Raise your hands.
yeah,
Everybody's done it. We do it all the time, and we still do it too. If we get wrapped up in the moment, or we get a little bit busy, or we're like focused on, ooh, I got to hurry up because the next thing's coming up. And instead of realizing everything's on time, everything's divinely perfect, right? It's divine appointments, it's divine timing. Everything is perfect. And if we would just stay in that space of knowing that everything is divine, we don't get kind of wrapped up in the other stuff. And then we're noticing the signs because they're always there. And so I'm just saying that because it's part of the practice. It's part of the noticing. And also the other thing I keep getting is, take time to pay attention to your intuition,
yeah.
because it's huge, because we've got all these askings and we want all these answers, but yet we're not paying attention to receive the answers. It's like having a conversation with Amy and saying, Amy, well, and I used to do this stuff too. Amy, what do you think about this? Oh, and then I would start giving my own answer right before Amy even had a chance to answer my question, right? We do this stuff all the time. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's like, realize, stop and listen, and then see what comes forward for you.
Yeah. And you actually will answer your own questions when you're just in conversation with other people at different times. right? We
True.
internally ask that question, the questions to God, universe, angels, whoever, and then you end up having a conversation that same day, typically, and it is about the same thing that you are thinking about and asking guidance for. And here you're having a conversation with somebody else, but as you're talking, you're answering your own question. But are you listening to what you're saying? Because that's one of the things that people like how many times in our lifetime have our friends come to us with their issues and we have the answers, which was the same answers that we needed for ourselves at the exact same time.
Always. I would
Right.
say it's always
Right.
that way.
Right. Like because I think back, in high school when all the drama and life sucked and all the things, right? And our friends would come to us and we knew all, teenagers, we knew all the answers and we're helping, telling our friends what to do. I needed that information too, but you think I was listening at that time? No.
Me neither.
I was too busy being the fixer, trying to fix everybody else's problems and not listening to the information I was sharing.
But that whole path was divinely perfect because we've now gotten to the point where we can share the information and we have an understanding, right?
Yeah.
We have an understanding of where we've been there. We've been through a lot of this stuff and we can give guidance. That's where that wisdom comes into play. And not always, because people can go through their whole life and not have the wisdom, not acknowledge it, not be in awareness of.
Yeah.
And it's knowing that also, even though you have all these things and you have all the information and you're feeling all those ways, you're still going to have nights that you don't sleep. I didn't hardly sleep at all last night, but I feel fine. I feel good
Yeah.
today. Yesterday morning, I woke up and I had a little bit of chest pains, which I thought was weird. I had seen a symbol of like a patch on a military uniform that that for some reason, which it didn't match up with what I was seeing, but for some reason I felt like it was a Marine, whatever. And it's like, then I'm like, I gotta look at my schedule. Did I think I had to look at my schedule? No, it popped in my head. Look at my schedule, who's on my calendar. And I'm like, oh, okay. So before this person had come in and I was cleaning a room or I was doing something while they were there, and I saw a person of military that he was young and he passed. And I didn't say anything to the person. And that same person was coming in yesterday. And I'm having these feelings and I kind of bring it up to her. And then I start talking about the chest stuff. Well, then I find out she's got stuff going on, with her chest, with her heart. And that the doctor told her that it's weaker now than it was 2 years ago. And it's like it was just and it's weird because I'm sitting there and I'm kind of battling with myself, not wanting to share some of this information. And I start coughing a little bit because it's like it's trying to clear it out, right? It's trying, but I also know if we don't share these things, we kind of take on symptoms because it's staying there for us to let it go, tell the person. And then right afterwards, I felt good. I felt fine. And it's like I said, I don't know what the message means. I've asked, maybe I wasn't listening good, or maybe I'd listened enough and that was all I needed to say. And she says, well, maybe it wasn't for you to know. You weren't supposed to understand. And I said, that's true. And she understood what I was talking about. So then it kind of made sense. Then pieces kind of came together. So it's just interesting. It just goes back to the whole thing, just paying attention. Does that mean that I'm a psychic medium? No, not necessarily, but it does mean that information is flowing into us because it happens to us every single day without having to put a label on it. It's always happening. It's always happening. And it's like, what do you want to do with it? I've had I don't know. There's just been the nights, the dreams, the information that pops in, the stuff. I don't know. It's just, it's fun. But I think this is what's happening all along. It goes along with everything we've been saying. It's been happening all along. I just wasn't in an awareness of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when you say messages are showing up all the time, they are, because I'm more aware now. They were showing up before.
Yeah.
They were showing up all the time before, but I wasn't in awareness. I wasn't in the present moment. I was too busy in my head. I was too busy thinking about issues in the past, things I had done, things that didn't work out, things that sucked, things that failed. You're right. All the things that were wrong, I was thinking about it. And then add all the emotions to that, the anger, guilt, shame, resentment, judgments, criticisms, all the stuff. So there's no way that, or I just blocked myself from seeing the guidance that was readily available. And now it's just playful and fun that, like you said, you look over at the clock. Of course it's 4:44, or one of my numbers is 6:24. Of course it's 6:24, right? It's just, of course it is. Of course it is. The 11:11. How many times that you and I have been on here and or chatting, and I'll look over, I'm like, oh, it's 11:11, right? Of course it is. And it's just fun and playful. And I'm listening to oh shoot, now I lost her name. Anyway, I'm listening to some videos. It was like a free challenge thing, and just being really big about breathing, being intentional about the breathing, the um uh breathing from the root chakra up to the pineal gland and in the center of our brain, and just really bringing our awareness to right now is, and that how the breath just really helps us to manage our days and get through our days and be able to handle situations um, better than we typically would. Let me put it that way.
That focusing on that breath brings you right now.
Yeah.
You're right now. And it's funny that you bring that up because yes, breath work has come up for me this past week or so. And then one of the things I had heard, and I don't, it was just something I had heard on Instagram, I think, but she was talking about breathing this cool air in through your nose all the way down to your root chakra. And then smile, look up, hold that breath, and then blow it all out, but feel that warm air coming all the way up to the pineal gland, through the crown, and notice how you feel. It was like, it was bringing this blissful feeling, but she was reading it from someone else's book that was like hidden information or whatever. And it's like I did it a couple times, and it's like that. It felt interesting. It felt light, but again, it's taking you present, right? It's our life force. Our breath is our life force, but it's bringing us right now. If that's what your focus is. I've been doing yoga every single day for the last 5 days. I've only been doing 35 minutes, and I like yin yoga. That's my personal preference because I like the long stretches, and because it was a full body, it was shorter. Instead of holding the stretches for 4 minutes, she's holding the stretches for 2 minutes. I've noticed a difference in my body. I've noticed a difference in the way it moves. I've gone through a lot of changes recently, for me, and it's like and it's interesting that people will have a response or a judgment about like, oh, well, don't make sure you're still doing something with yourself, or don't they just have information, and it's like the one friend was saying, well, you should still come into the gym, and I'm like, no, it's not because it's a bad place for me. It's just because it's not resonating with me at this time. What's resonating with me is I can be at home and do my yoga outside, and I can have a dog or two with me, and it's awesome. I get to roll over to a side and I'm looking at the Wallapai Mountains, right? I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. I can go over and lift weights, and I don't have hardly any weights. I just have some dumbbells that go up to, I think the highest is 25 pounds. I've got two 25-pounders. But if you're slowing things down and you're focused on the body, it's shifting things. So like the yoga's shifting energy within me, but it's also, I'm noticing where all the tightness is, and it's freaking everywhere.
Mm.
And I realize it's not up to me. I could go get a massage, and that would probably open up my body a little bit, but I still got repetitive programs. And I was going to say problems in my, it
Yeah.
was like, not a problem, but I mean, with inside of me, right? But I can do these stretches, and I'm noticing that I have a little bit more range. I feel like I'm a little bit taller. I'm standing a little bit taller. I'm not having the grinding that I was having in my neck and stuff. And it's like, nobody can do this work for me but me. That is it. It's like we have, as a society, have been trained, guided into everything outside of ourselves, even coming to see me for massage. Like I said, it would be great for me to go get a massage, but it's up to me to do the work after that. That massage might help facilitate and open up the body, but it is my job. It is my job to pay attention to my body. It's not someone else's job. And I had a client one time be frustrated with me after a day had gone by, and she says, well, I don't, and she was a physical therapist and a massage therapist, and she couldn't understand why her body was tight already the next day. Like, what did I do wrong? What did her massage therapist do wrong? And it's like, it's learning to trust and honor self. So for me, I kind of pulled back from a lot of the normal things that I would have done, that the old program, the old patterns, the gym, the rushing around all the time, protein, drinking protein powder. I'm eating real foods right now. That's what I'm guided to. Um, I'm spending time. So I was back to lifting weights. Now I'm lifting weights at the cat house where my kitty cats are at, and I get to pet them in the middle of all this stuff, and they are happy about this. And then I don't have that weight of like, why do I even have them? Have I even given them attention, or am I doing a disservice? All those judgments, all those feelings that I was having about myself have kind of fallen away, because now I'm doing things differently. I go take a hike up the mountain. I take 3 or 4 dogs with me. I come back and I'll have another dog sitting out with me with doing yoga. I take it, I'm doing things, but it's more in alignment with myself, and it's not, and I'm relieving all that stress and all that weight that I've placed upon my shoulders of all these responsibilities. But at the same time, it's bringing me present. I'm right now, and I'm getting to enjoy all the things that are around me. And then you hear the messages. It's like, if you want abundance, you want more money, and you want more stuff in your life, what about all the abundance you already have? So I'm looking around thinking, I have an abundance of weeds out there, or I have an abundance of flowers, or I have you know what I mean? But it is. I see an abundance of birds flying by. It's just recognizing all the abundance that's around us all the time. I have an abundance of hair. It's all those little things. It's just a little tiny stuff that we think that doesn't matter, but it's so huge, because all along the way, I'm reprogramming myself. My thoughts are changing. I'm different now. I feel things differently. I'm recognizing if I'm with a client or with another person, I'm picking up energies, or how am I feeling right now? Oh, why did you say that? Or, ooh, that was good. Like being able to hear the advice now, like you said, when we were younger, we were given advice all the time. I was given advice all the time. I remember Jim saying, you should go counsel. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that crap. I'm going to go through school and have them tell me how to do things when, well, I had all these ideas, but I was never listening to that information that was coming out. And like you said, all that information that was coming out of me was for me too. All of it was,
Yeah.
but I wasn't hearing it. And so now everything's it's like kind of gone full circle, where now I'm more present with it. Am I always? No. Do I always have myself? Am I always in my own energy or paying attention to my own energy? No, because I still have those days sometimes when I leave work and I feel like I've been beat up. It's the same thing, but it's like, it's because I've thrown myself in the frickin' dryer and let myself tumble around and not taking the time to be like, wait a minute, what are you doing to yourself right now?
Yeah.
It's unnecessary, but taking that time. But I can go through that tumble and then recognize I'm doing the tumble right now, and hey, I don't have to stay there, and I don't.
Well, it's that quick recognition of, oh, I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah,
Right. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, I don't have to do this to myself. I can do something different. Right. So I have somebody who, excuse me, reached out to me about the way she's feeling. She's overwhelmed. She's, putting herself down, talking poorly about herself, right? The internal dialogue, and and it's, I understand it. I get it. I've done it. I did it for years and years and years. And it's also a person who listens to us, listens to other podcasts, reads books, and is aware of all the multiple avenues of getting yourself out of that funk or out of that discomfort. But like you said earlier, you mentioned wisdom. One of the things, the way I define, not define, but turn things into wisdom is, okay, you had an experience. We've all had experiences that were not so great. So I can either hold on to the discomfort of that experience, or I can look at it and go, what did I learn from it? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about the other people? What worked? What didn't work? Right? You just go through this whole, maybe you want to call it analytical perspective about it. So you just look at it and see, what did I learn? And then when you take that and you recognize what you learned from it, then what are you going to implement to help you be better? It's not about the other people because we can't change those people. What are you going to implement within yourself so that you can be better, right? And so when you're better, you show up better for yourself and for the world. Makes sense to me. Then if you're implementing it to be better in yourself, now you have that wisdom. The wisdom is within you. And then when a similar situation shows up, like the one you learned from, you're going to handle it completely different because now you have the wisdom, you have the knowledge, you have the practice, you've implemented things to help you move through things easier or different. And it's it comes down to, as we say every single week, I don't know that there's been a week, and I don't know how long where this word has not come up, that freaking C word that, everybody's like, wait, what? I have a choice? Yes, we have a choice. We have a choice to stay stuck in the crap, the crappy feelings, the discomfort, the discord, or to do something different that feels good, feels better, feels lighter, feels more fun, feels more loving. But if you're staying stuck in whatever pattern you're staying stuck in, you're not making the choice to do something different. And like you were saying, it's not your job as the massage therapist to, text hey, did you stretch today after your massage? Hey, are you hydrating? Hey, are you doing this? Hey, it's not your job. You're not getting paid to do that. It's not your job. They came to get a massage for, and I agree with you, it's a temporary relief. They get relief in their body for a moment, but then when they don't take the steps to continue that good feeling within their body, and it tightens up, or they feel an ache or pain somewhere, and then they want to blame you for it, it's like, time out. This is not my body, it's your body, and it's your job to maintain it. It's your job to take care of it. It's your job to stretch it. It's your job to feed it, right? It's like, where's the boundary here? So similar, right? I don't fix people. I don't heal people. I am their guide. Here's the tools. Here's what you do. Here's what I have in my toolbox or toy box to share with you to help you feel better within yourself. But if you don't open the box, that's not on me. If you don't take something out of the box and implement it, that is not on me. And so everybody, Bev and I included, everybody is responsible for their own self. Everybody is responsible for their own body, their mind, their spirit. And if you want to feel better, feel different, feel lighter, then you have to make the choice to do something different. You can't stay stuck in the same patterns with the same mindset, the same behaviors, the same programming, the same belief systems, the same conversations, the same people. You can't be in all of that and with all that and expect to feel better. It just ain't gonna work. So when back in my 20s, when I turned to alcohol to suppress the heavy emotions, right? It kind of like put a blanket over it, shut that down, and then I could be, when I was drunk, have a great time. Like I had a really good time when I was drunk. I knew I couldn't sustain that. So I had to do something different. That included, it had to be steps for me, right? Less alcohol, more water or tea. I was also moving away from soda and sugary drinks. So I had to change that. I had to change my environment. I stopped going to the bars. I stopped hanging out with those people because they were triggers for me. Their expectation of me was the life of the party. Amy's here, shots of tequila, let's go, right? Because we knew we were going to have a good time. Couldn't do that. So I stopped hanging around in the environments where that would be present. I had to change my intakes, food, water. I had to change my mindset, the way I was talking to myself. I had to change belief systems and programming and habits, right? So it's been a journey, but nobody on this planet could have done any of that for me. That was up to me to do. And if you want to feel better in yourself, then you must take those steps and be diligent, persistent, and consistent in your practice. That is the only way things are going to change for you. That's my soapbox for today.
And it's also, it's like I really pay attention because I go into those moments and sometimes I start talking the same talk that I've talked about to myself. I get into that old pattern, the old training. But then it's like I realize I don't put much emphasis on it. I just recognize it. It's like my gauge is saying, "Alert, alert! There's
Yeah,
something's off here," and then it's up to me to shift my frequency to something else. It's totally up to me. We're right to the same thing with choice. It's up to me to make a decision. Am I feeling good with where I'm at right now? No. Do I want to stay here for a little bit? Sometimes, yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you just want to be
Sometimes.
pissed off for a minute. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a burning off of old pattern thing. I think that's getting rid of, it's a path of least resistance. You've already got the gauge. It's the circuit's already open. Let it flow for a minute if you need to
Yeah.
let it flow for a minute. And I keep telling people, take the time to write down on a piece of paper. And I only tell that because in my wisdom, I've been doing it. I've seen that was something that has worked for others. And I was telling other people to do it because, again, I was given advice, right? It was advice for myself. And then I started doing it. And sometimes when I'm just in a moment, I just write down all the stuff. And it's like I tell people, by the time I get to the end of that, almost all that stuff, then now I can think of all the things that I want to do, how I want to create, what do I want my life to look like. But I couldn't see that before because I had all that other stuff kind of weighing it down and kind of throwing the scales off balance. So I couldn't really see what I could do from that moment. So sometimes it's just getting rid of it out of your body. And it's as simple as we've talked about it before, making a list. You're going to go to the grocery store instead of trying to remember everything on that list because then so you don't have to beat yourself up afterwards because you forgot something. Even though sometimes we forget our list, um, it's writing it all on a piece of paper so you don't have to have that swirling around in your mind. And then, because if that's swirling around in your mind, you're not taking the time right that moment to receive the information that you're wanting to receive. And I've done that. I've written it down. Then all of a sudden, something will pop into my head while I'm at the health food store or the grocery store of something I didn't think about, something that wasn't on my list, and it tells me, "Oh, this would be good for you." So you're setting yourself up for those opportunities for that information to come in.
Yeah. Yep. And when we're writing, so write out the heaviness, right? Write out the heaviness, the things you're saying to yourself in your head, the I'm not good enough, the I'll never get this right. I don't fit in, whatever, right? Just write it out. Write down those thoughts and get it out of your brain, like so you can create more space in your brain for other things that will be more beneficial for you. So just write that down. And then, like Bev said, then once it's like that cloudiness, right? We got to remove the cloudiness and then we see clearer. And you can start writing about, well, if I was to talk to myself in a better way, in a different way, what would that be? And maybe write those things down so that you can actually see it. And you're thinking it, you're writing it, you're seeing it. So that starts to program that in your body and then start doing it on a regular basis. Maybe you need to put the list of things to say to yourself on your mirror or in your purse or in your car or next to the bed or when you read them when you have breakfast, whatever it might be for you, however that works. But have them as reminders to say those things to yourself over and over and over and over and over again, like 300, 500, 1,000 times a day. Not kidding. I did it. And then start to recognize how you start changing. I shared not too long ago on one of our other recordings that I just like I think it was within a month or so ago, that I intentionally was trying to get depressed, like to go into my old programming back in my 20s and 30s, like before that, right? Like I was intentionally trying because I was something happened and it caught my attention and I just wanted to be depressed about it because that was my default programming. But when I actually tried to be depressed about it, it wasn't there. Like I couldn't even get into it. It was the funniest thing. And I thought, wait, I can't even get depressed about this. That's pretty cool. Cause then once I recognized I couldn't get like intentionally depressed about this, it turned me around. I was like, wow, that is awesome. And then, like you said, things come up, right? We have moments. And it was last week, a situation happened, and I was going down the route of being upset about it. But then there was a flip side of it that was beneficial, but I was focusing more on well, I'll say negative or the heaviness of it. And but then I was bouncing back and forth between the two, between being upset and angry about it, and then the better, like, and then I just stopped. I was like, oh my god, this is too much. And I just out loud, very loudly said, stop mind fucking yourself, just stop. And then I put a smile on my face, and then I thought more about the benefits and lighter stuff, and then I felt better. It was just it's been so funny with me in my own head and the things that have been coming up and how I've been handling them, and it's been interesting.
I agree. But it's fun. I mean, it doesn't feel fun right in the middle of it, but it's like you're saying, you tried to get into that space, and I laugh because, yeah, been there. You know, it's I've caught myself trying to do the same pattern, and you can't because that doesn't exist. It's like somewhere along the line that something got taken out of that pattern, and it just doesn't work anymore. But that's also letting us know, well, how do I operate? Like, what is the way to do this?
Yep.
And we don't always know. And that makes me think of the person that, and because I was this person too, I was looking at all the advice, I was reading all the books, listening to the podcast, listening to you guys, people from sisters at the time and giving me advice. And it's like I wasn't implementing anything. And it wasn't like it was a bad thing. I just wasn't there to do that. But it's also asking what's blocking me from my joy, really? What's keeping me from moving past this stuff? How do I take a step forward? What does that look like? And then I remember even telling people recently, well, in the last couple of years, if you tie your right shoe over your time, start tying the left shoe first. If
Yeah.
you brush your teeth with the right hand, brush your teeth with your left hand. Little subtle
Yep.
changes. Look at yourself in the mirror while you're brushing your teeth. Look at yourself in the eyes. Tell yourself that you love you. If you can't say it out loud, say it inside your head. Look inside your eyes. Like it's just, there's so many different little things that we can do that shift everything. And it's just so subtle. Just changing that repetitive process.
Yep. And along those lines, I do it from memory for one, but the idea of not being in a box, of majority of the time when if they're like our regular weekly meetings with this organization I'm in, I never sit in the same spot every week. You have those little groups where they'll sit together in the same chair every single week. I move around. And when I go to the gym, I park in a different parking spot well, now it's busier, so you kind of have to, but when it wasn't so busy, like the parking spots were readily available and you could pretty much park in the same spot, I wouldn't. I park in different spots. Going to the grocery store, some people will park in the exact same area, right? So that they do remember where they parked, and I don't. I'll be all over the parking lot. So it's just things like that. I even at the gym, we have lockers. I get a different locker majority of the time, different. So it's just being able to do that, just so I'm not putting myself in this container of, oh, when you go here, this is where you sit. Oh, when you go here, this is the locker. I don't want that. don't want to be, because that becomes your habit and your programming. And I'm very much diligently working on not doing things like that. And it is also good for your memory of where did I park? How many people go outside of the store and they're hitting their little clicker to find out where their car is because they forgot, right? So one of my things when I park in a parking spot is I look up at the building and I look at maybe that's the name of the company, and okay, well, I'm in the row where the E is, right? So just utilizing your brain in other ways like that too is very good for helps your memory and stuff like that.
That's awesome because it kind of takes you away from that autopilot.
Yes.
I love it.
Yep. So breath work, we talked about breath work. There's lots and lots and lots of videos out there on how to do breath work. So we could share what works for us, but we're not going to.
No, no,
what works for you.
You guys got to find it yourselves. That's the whole part of the journey. You know what I mean? How many times have we wanted to help someone and give them all this information that's right there and done it, and they don't do anything with it?
Yeah.
Because they got to go on their journey themselves. Just because I can see something that might be beneficial for someone else doesn't mean it's our job to give it to someone else.
Right.
It's up to them.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
So just go look up on YouTube or whatever platform you use for breath work. Kundalini breath is really beneficial, especially they're finding it's very beneficial for doing manifesting, expanding your energy. Movement. So we talked about moving your body. So find out what works for you. That could be in all different kinds of ways: dance, hiking, swimming, the gym, whatever. So find what works for you and moving your body. And presence, practicing presence. When you're present, then you're very aware of what is what your thoughts are, how your body feels, what your environment's like, what you're noticing around you, receiving the information of divine guidance, what we call signs. So we've talked about all of that, and just implement something. One, that's it. Implement one for now until you get good at it, and then implement something else. So, and actually, when you're doing body movement, practicing presence is important because you're in tune with your body with whatever you're doing and moving it. So you're actually doing two things in one. So if you can compound some things to implement, then that's even better. But do what you can with what you can for now. And as you get good at it or better at it, then you do something more. Any final words from you?
I say make a magical week. Make
Absolutely.
it magical. Have fun while you're doing all this stuff. Really.
Yeah. Because the more joy you bring into your body, the more that amplifies, and the universe is like, okay, they want more of this. They want more of this. Yes, please. Because the opposite, what we've been practicing for so long, is not fun. Doesn't feel good. Like, let's do something different.
Yeah. And pay attention to your abundance. Exactly. I have an abundance of notebooks, Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
So abundance, right? Pay attention to it. We got it. We got lots of it.
Yeah. All right, my friends. So that's tea time with Amy and Bev. Have the conversations with your friends and family, co-workers, people in the grocery line. If you find these videos beneficial, please share them. And don't keep us a secret. We show up to have these conversations in hopes that it will help somebody else. And so share the information. It's good for everyone involved. So with that, thanks for hanging out with us.
See you later.